Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and if Bud Light thought featuring a trans activist in their latest marketing campaign was a good idea, they need to have their heads checked. All the executives at Anheuser-Busch have done is spark outrage among their customers, and the backlash is just beginning. We're going to take a look at the latest coming from what may have been the worst marketing campaign decision ever. And we're going to see precisely how Bud Light is yet the latest victim of one of the fundamental laws of the universe. Say it with me. Get woke, go broke. Anheuser-Busch has set their loyal fan base on fire. For reasons we'll get into in a moment, the marketing executives thought it would be a good idea to launch a campaign featuring trans TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney as the latest spokesperson for Bud Light. The beer celebrated the, quote, 365 days of girlhood milestone that Mulvaney, a biological male, apparently reached. Needless to say, the campaign has sparked a massive backlash on social media. Ultra mega rock star Kid Rock spoke for many Bud Light fans with his own unique response to the campaign.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
Yeah, well, that pretty much summed up the sentiment of many Bud Light drinkers in particular, and more broadly, Anheuser-Busch consumers. And so obviously, Kid Rock is not alone here. Country music great Travis Tritt has just announced that he's dropping all Anheuser-Busch products from his tour entourage. He tweeted out the announcement yesterday saying that he was deleting all Anheuser-Busch products from his tour hospitality rider. And he also noted that he knows of many other artists who are doing the same thing. And he didn't just stop there. One of his fans noted, somebody needs to post a full list of all Anheuser-Busch products for us to boycott, which Travis Tritt then turned around and did. He posted all the Bud-related brands that needed to be boycotted right along with Bud Light. So obviously there's a major boycott effort underway, and we'll see how this plays out in the next few days. Now, a very interesting take on this comes from Aaron McIntyre, who responded to a tweet that faulted country music executives for not knowing their audience after they featured that absurd trans stunt at the CMT Awards a couple weeks ago. McIntyre's response was spot on. He said, quote, "No, they haven't. They haven't failed to recognize who their customers are. They want to shape who their customers are and have been wildly successful at doing so." And that's so key here for why Anheuser-Busch is doing this. I chalk much of this up to the social dynamic that scholar Joel Kotkin calls refeudalization, where our society is increasingly resembling the kind of caste system akin to the class structure of the Middle Ages. So not only do we have a massive amount of power and money amassed in the hands of very few, but at the same time, we're seeing a comparable kind of religious fanaticism, not through a clerical class, but through what's called a clerisy class, a pseudo-intellectual class dedicated to woke fanaticism made up of environmentalism, gender, race, and the like. And that's where we're seeing the advent of Woke Inc., where corporations are enforcing this dogmatic ideology coming from the universities and the political class. It's a sign of the uniformity of the ruling class: political rule, economic rule, entertainment rule, all the major cultural levers of power, all used to enforce this radical woke fanaticism. But the amazing news here is that, especially when it comes to trans issues, there really is a massive backlash underway, and I'm going to show you precisely how. But first, gang, are you tired of feeling like your financial future is at the mercy of big banks, corporations, and Bidenomics? Are you concerned about the recent failures and bailouts of these institutions? Well, enough. It's time to take control of your economic destiny and create your own economy. My friends over at Replace Your Mortgage have created a bulletproof financial blueprint that does just that. From paying off your home in 5 to 7 years on your current income to finding cheap capital to invest in your real estate and protecting it all by creating your own family bank. They've helped hundreds of Turley Talks listeners over the last 2 years, and I want the rest of you to enjoy the benefits of working with Michael Lush and his great team. They have a live 5-day event coming up soon where they'll walk you step by step to get ahead and stay ahead in these economic times. Click on that link below or go to turleyeconomy.com and register for this 5-day event. It's amazing. I'm actually getting feedback already from our listeners and the success that they're having with this. By creating your own economy, you could free yourself from the limitations and uncertainties of the traditional banking system. You can build a sustainable, resilient financial future that's based on your own hard work and creativity. So don't wait, gang. Take the first step towards creating your own economy today. Start building the life you deserve at turleyeconomy.com. A number of pundits are noticing a fundamental difference between the transgender movement and the gay rights movement. This is very interesting. The gay rights movement, whether we like it or not, has been extremely politically successful. And that's largely because it plays off of a rather libertarian ethos that's dominated American culture over the last few decades. Americans generally have a live and let live attitude towards their neighbor, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not adversely affecting the lives of others, they really don't care what you do. And so it was very difficult for cultural conservatives to make a plausible argument that two men or two women who love each other shouldn't be able to share that love like anyone else in the form of marriage. Because after all, who are they hurting? Right? What are they? That's what you would hear over and over again here. Who are they hurting? How does this in any way, shape, or form affect anyone else's life? But what's so fascinating here is the same thing emphatically cannot be said about transgenderism, right? They now want you, say the female athlete, to step aside regardless of all the hard work and sacrifice that you put into your sport. They want you to step aside and allow athletes that are physically in a completely other league to take your place. That's a very tough sell. Or they want your daughter, your 14-year-old daughter, to have to change in a locker room with a 17-year-old male who identifies as a girl, but still has male anatomy. It's very interesting because that very issue is brought to the fore it's brought to the fore a major contradiction. This happened with some interviews of a trans school board member that concerned parents wanted removed from the school board. They were concerned because apparently this school board member, who's a man who identifies as a woman, was found to frequent the schoolgirl's locker room and change in there. And when the Fawning Legacy media interviewed this trans board member, they lectured us on how this was not a choice. This school board member just kept saying over and over again, I did not choose it. I did not choose to be transgender. This is thoroughly natural. I was born this way. How dare you demand me suppress my natural innate inclination? And yet, what was so fascinating in those reports was a glaring double standard in that kind of suppression was exactly what was demanded of these young girls changing in the locker room. Parents testified at the school board meeting that their adolescent girls were being told by their teachers that their natural impulse of aversion to grown men staring at them as they get undressed needs to be suppressed. Suppression of natural feelings does not leave the equation when it comes to trans ideology. It just gets inverted. But of course, that begs the question, if the suppression of natural sentiments is morally wrong, then why are 11-year-old girls in locker rooms being forced to do precisely that? So it's a clear case of rules for thee, not for me, right? It's refeudalization. We're all living in a medieval caste system where a radical, fundamentalist ideology is being forced down our throats from an aristocratic clerisy class that has no interest whatsoever in fairness, but only fidelity. And as you can see, the pushback, the backlash against this is just the beginning. Americans aren't going to be standing for this much longer, which means we ain't seen nothing yet. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Trump crushing Biden in a stunning poll turnaround, all as Democrats have turned on Bragg. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.